Eora, a world where mortals live, die, and are reborn through the turning of the wheel, in a cycle of reincarnation, watched over by the gods. Our gods, some of whom love us more than others. Your home, the Adiran Empire, is treasured by Wodica, Our Lady of Law and Vengeance, the Burned Queen. But our goddess has lately turned her eyes from us, and our empire has suffered revolts, famines, challenges to rightful rule. We lack a common purpose, but we could find it in the living lands, a rich and lawless island settled by fugitives, wanderers, exiles, and us. Yet the more we free this place from danger, the more the land fights back. And now, as our colonists crowd into Paradise, the last safe city, the locals find themselves crowded out. Many years ago, you were born to a family in our Adiran Empire, and in a rare turn of the wheel, you came into this world, a godlike, touched by a patron god in the womb. To some, a blessing; to many, an abomination. You grew up an outsider, but I saw potential in you. Potential and an opportunity. And within my court, you found purpose. Now I call upon your vow to our empire and name you my envoy. Venture forth in the name of your homeland and secure our future.
Hey! Turn around and sail back to wherever you came from. This dock is reserved for the Imperial Envoy. And she's late. Probably died at sea. Good riddance. What?
Nice.
Forgive me, Envoy. I meant nothing by it. A slip of the tongue. Can we start over? Name's Cynric, captain of the local militia. We're a scrappy bunch, but we know our way around Paradise. Unlike most Adirans who couldn't find their ass with both their hands. Oh, present company excluded. They told me you were godlike, but I didn't know what to expect. Your face, it's so... Well...
You're doing great.
Forgive me, again. We're having a bit of an emergency. No doubt you've come for the Adiran ambassador, but he's gone, along with our claviger. Well, he's the closest thing we have to a local authority. Part keeper of the keys, part bald fist.
Paradise's mayor, more or less. Most people out here aren't fond of established hierarchies and titles. So, we made up some new ones.
I'm sorry, Envoy, but no one's here to receive it.
Nonsense. There's a small army of pickpockets, smugglers, and scoundrels between those walls who'd be happy to take it off your hands.
Just ignore him. No, there's some kind of blight in the wilderness and rumors of plague. They went to investigate. Nature has a mind of its own in these parts. When the ecosystem changes, we ask ourselves how and why.
Leaderless and rudderless is the natural state of things in Paradise anyway. Keeps things interesting. Where did you say they went? Because I've got an idea.
They traveled northwest to the Strangle Route, past the old Pargroon Wall.
You need to find the ambassador, and I need to find the claviger. How's about we partner up? See, Cynric? I knew someone would appreciate me for me.
Kai, before you go, I just hate to send the envoy out there. The wilderness is no place for a scholar. Make sure she comes back alive, or the Steel Garrote will have my head.
Better yours than mine.
The Steel Garrote are here as guests, helping Adirans like yourself keep the peace. Or so they say.
That's certainly what they'd like you to believe. Sounds like their reputation back home in Adir isn't any better than it is here.
They're an order of religious cutthroats, sharpening their blades for the glory of the burned queen. Oof, creepy bunch, too. Who needs enemies when you have friends like the Steel Garrote? You tell me, envoy. The Adirans came to our shores with their soldiers, their bureaucrats, and their cult of murderers. Asking a lot of nosy questions is a good way to end up with a knife in your back. Speaking of the Steel Garrote, fair warning, their leader, Inquisitor Ludwine, is eager to greet you. Or possibly interrogate you. They say she fell in battle in the Deadfire, and death spat her back out. I admire your eagerness, envoy. Just don't rush into danger too quickly, all right?
Right behind you. We've got to find your ambassador and my claviger before something else does. You know, for most people, getting sent to the Living Lands is a punishment. But, according to Cynric, you're the personal envoy of the Emperor of Adir himself. Quite a position. You must have gone through one of Adir's famous academies. I can't imagine you had time for much other than your studies, so... Tell me, is this your first time getting dirt under your fingernails? A word of advice, then. Practical application in the Living Lands usually involves a dagger, or bow, or baking mold, if that's all you have on hand. Don't ask. What I really want to know, since hard questions are your specialty, is why the Emperor would send his best scholar all the way to the Living Lands. Oh, that almost does sound like a punishment. I don't know how you investigate a so-called plague of the soul, so better you than me. Being a godlike, I don't suppose your patron deity gives you any unique insights into matters of the soul, do they? I thought every godlike knew their god. That's one of the stranger things I've heard. And out here, that's saying something. Sorry, these are unusual times. I haven't met anyone who's really seen the Dream Scourge yet, but that hasn't stopped people from worrying about the rumors. Refugees are flooding in from outlying regions. The guards are restricting access to the city. And people are making offerings to the gods for everything from hangovers to indigestion, just in case. Not much. It's hard to separate fact from rumor. I've heard it changes people, makes them confused, disoriented, and eventually violent. No one seems to know exactly how it starts. And here I was hoping for good news. Unfortunately, the presence of so many Adiran troops and the rumored exploits of the Steel Garrote paladins supporting them is only making a tense situation worse. I think that's why the Clavenger accompanied your ambassador. Exactly. Paradise has been quiet lately, but I don't know how long that'll last. We're talking about an island that has been largely settled by nomads, exiles, and dissidents. People who tend to be suspicious of authority. But what about you? What's your stake in things? Besides your orders, of course. Just be careful where you say that. That's the kind of talk that may get people thinking you've got the Dream Scourge. I'll let you get some rest, but thanks for talking. It's good to be part of a squad again, even if it's just for a while. It's the gateway to the Living Lands, a scenic port city that's as beautiful and dangerous as the wilds around it. Most visitors enjoy some mariner's porridge at the Ballarrock, a back alley shakedown, and then the sudden return of that porridge out of one end or the other. Then, if they've got any sense, they turn around and take their chances back where they came from, with authentic tales of their adventures in the Living Lands. Don't get me wrong, it's a great city. In part because it's great at winnowing out people who have no business being here. The Living Lands means a hard-won second chance for the people who settle here. But first, you've got to survive it. And the island gives no quarter. For a lot of people, the Living Lands is a last resort. They come fleeing war, debt, famine, the law. Take your pick. For others, it's freedom. To seek glory, to redefine yourself, to live in a way you can't, maybe even on pain of death wherever you come from. Little of everything. Rawatai is famous for storms and rocky soil, so I figured if I'm going to live in a hostile environment, why not pick some place where things grow? It seemed like a good idea at the time. Used to be, if you could last out here, you could count on being left alone. That's what some fear. Ilgard's new embassy and his alliance with the Steel Garrote smell like the authority and order that a lot of people came here to leave behind. But I don't mean to put that on you. I imagine you're tired of having to answer for every Adiran who sneezes into somebody's stew. They say people afflicted with it have strange, vivid dreams and start confusing them with reality. What starts as a light daze becomes severe disorientation and eventually a bent towards chaotic violence. And then, fungal growths take over your body. So Dream Scourge. No, Dream Scourge is different. It spreads all over. Still, if you see any new mushrooms sprouting up anywhere unexpected, let me know. Until then, look on the bright side. The Living Lands is filled with people and things that are likelier to kill you first. My favorite subject. That must have been 6 years ago now. I guess I was drifting, looking for a change. A settlement called Thirdborn. It's a rugged little place, lots of Rawatayan expatriates. It really was. Anyway, we were talking about something else, yeah? I joined up with the Rawatayan Navy as soon as I was old enough. I was part of our campaign to establish a foothold in the Deadfire Archipelago. Starting out, it was exciting, purposeful. I believed in our mission. We were returning to our ancestral homeland, reclaiming fertile soil that would feed Rawatai. Additionally, we were helping Deadfire, bringing organization to the pirate-ridden archipelago and civilization to our distant Wana cousins. To add, they're bringing order and civilization to our lawless frontier? Then I hope you learn from my mistakes faster than I did. The Huana didn't want us there. We spent almost as much time fighting the tribes as we did pirates and Wilder. And it was hard to see how any of our fighting and dying was feeding people back home. I'd always heard that war was supposed to temper us, strengthen us, but I didn't see that either. I deserted. And I bounced between different mercenary companies for almost 10 years. Hey, not all of us catch on so quick. Besides, there were only so many options for a Rawatayan deserter with no training and anything else. As a mercenary, I figured I could at least choose my battles and my crew. I ended up here, didn't I? It was more of the same. The only comfort was being part of a squad. By the time I came to the Living Lands, I'd seen enough, had enough. I did. Yeah, for a while. Look, if I can give you some hard-won advice, stay on your toes. You're in a difficult position. Whatever your role asks of you, make sure it's something you're willing to give. Because you're the one who has to live with the consequences. Hey, advice is easy. The hard part's all you. What gave it away? My finely pointed teeth, or the striking blue of my scales? Fair enough. My people are known to roam. Rawatai's hardly a hospitable environment. Many of us end up settling elsewhere or making a living on the go. That's where you get the popular image of the Amawa bodyguard or mercenary. That certainly doesn't hurt. Nor does the fact that many of us are excellent singers. If you ever find yourself in Tekoa, visit the Lore College to hear the chanters. In Deadfire, the Huana water shapers can sing the waves into incredible sculptures and devastating salvos. Then you must have come during our sunny season. Lashed by storms and battered by waves. We call it the rough country. And old trenchers say it's made us who we are. We do a lot of digging for irrigation, drainage, warfare, the occasional village tournament. Anyone from Rawatai has spent enough time in some kind of hole in the ground to be on a first-name basis with the worms. So, trenchers. Those of us who leave are scramble roots, hardy weeds that can survive just about anywhere. You'd fit right in with the Ronganui's inner circle. It's true that the same things that make Rawatai a difficult place to live have shaped our people and our kingdom. Our coral masons have built living harbors and fortifications along the coast to protect our ships and shelter our cities. For all our shortage of fertile soil, Rawatai's land is abundant in saltpeter, copper, iron, most of the other materials you need to outfit your military with weapons and cannons. We value struggling and striving together. It helped us survive and build one of the most powerful navies in Aora. It's been hard-won across a variety of conquests, cooperatives, and trading colonies. Some of the traditionalists worry that prosperity is making us as complacent and soft-handed as our rivals. Same as traditionalists everywhere. Me, I prefer the simplicity of the living lands. Kill the thing that's trying to kill you, and hope it has some edible meat on it. Sure. What's on your mind? Night, Envoy. I haven't seen this much excitement in a while. Perhaps I've got you to thank for bringing it with you, Envoy.